Hello, mysterious person behind the screen, and welcome back to this little mini-series of collection updates I'm doing. This is part 2, focusing on Blu-rays, 4Ks, and video games. If you missed part 1, you can find that on my channel. We walked through the vinyl pickups that I picked up, vinyl records, we discussed them, unboxed them a little bit. It was all good fun, so you can go watch that on my channel now if you missed that. But this is probably going to be the biggest video of this little mini-series. Blu-rays, 4Ks, and video games. I bought an awful lot of these over the last few months. I'm not going to talk about everything I picked up because it's just going to get tiresome, especially if I didn't have a lot to say about it. I'm just not going to talk about it in this video. But there are a lot of releases here that I do want to talk about. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to start off with 4Ks, then move on to Blu-rays, and then on to a small section about video games. So we'll start off the 4K section with the movie that saved cinema, Top Gun Maverick. Yeah, this was maybe the biggest surprise of last year. So I went into this not expecting anything decent from it. I'm not a huge fan of the first one. I think it's fine as a sort of pop culture icon bit of 80s cinema, but there's really no meat on the bones of that thing. It's so light on story, and to be honest, I rewatched it in the run-up to this, and I really don't think it's very good. So going into this, I had heard all the buzz and heard all the hype, and I wasn't expecting anything more than just a bit of a light show for 2 hours, but thankfully, this is how you do a legacy sequel. You won't find an over-reliance of nostalgia here. There's certainly callbacks to the original, the opening titles and all the musical references and all the flashbacks and stuff, but it doesn't linger on them. It gets it out of the way in the first 10 minutes, and then it just focuses on telling a really damn good story and a crowd-pleasing story and a fun story that follows on from the original, but it doesn't feel like it's slavishly loyal to the original. So I think the polar opposite to this is Ghostbusters Afterlife, which I find so disappointing because it is just like, look how good the original is. And it's like, yeah, I wish I was watching that instead. This takes what the original did, does it infinitely better and infinitely more compelling, and just gives you what you want, which is damn good popcorn blockbuster entertainment with real heart and soul. This was such a surprise for me last year, and I'm so happy to own it on 4K. It looks incredible. the flying sequences, it looks absolutely stunning on 4K. And it's just a great film. It's just a really, really good film, and I'm so happy with the way this turned out. And yeah, never judge a book by its cover, I guess, because I really expected the worst from this, and came out of it absolutely loving it. Bullet Train, this is another fun one. This was a really fun time at the cinema last year. It's very colourful, it's very light, it's very poppy. It's really, really good fun, and I think that's probably all it is. There's no real meat on the bones to it. It's not like this groundbreaking, incredible tale, but it's just a damn good time at the cinema. It's really well directed, it's really flashy, it's really funny. It's just a great film. So this next one is definitely something that I admired more than I actually enjoyed. It came out in 2021, it was one of the biggest films of 2021, and it was Dune. And you know, this was, it kind of baffled me, to be honest. I watched it in the cinema and I was like, this is visually gorgeous. I don't really have a clue what's going on, which is very, yeah, I'll watch it again before part 2 comes out. I did enjoy the film, it just completely baffled me. And I knew I wanted to get the 4K eventually because it's one of those films that's just like visually sumptuous and just absolutely gorgeous and the epic scale. But I waited a bit, and I was always going to pick it up, and then they released this edition, which is the Pain Box, which, if we take the card off here, it basically looks like the Pain Box from the film that Timothée Chalamet sticks his hand into. And it contains the film in a digipack. It's quite a nice edition. It's pretty much just the standard release, just put in a digipack with some cool extras in here, like art cards and a poster. It's very similar to the Batman set from last year, only it's not Steelbook. But yeah, this wasn't hugely expensive, and I thought, well, if I'm going to pick it up on 4K, I might as well do it now. And in a box like this, which is pretty nice, and it's a cool display piece and everything. I'm definitely looking forward to watching this again before number 2 comes out, and hopefully sort of understand it a bit more this time, because it's one of those films that's so dense, and it doesn't really care if you get left behind. But yeah, no, it's cool, and I'm glad to have it on 4K. Some boutique releases now with Second Sight Dog Soldiers. I've never seen this film, but I always have wanted to. Second Sight Films put out this release. They did put out a big box set of it first, which I didn't get, so I just got the standard version. But really looking forward to watching it. I did pop the 4K in to have a look at what it looked like, because I've been told it was very, because the type of film it is, it's super grainy, super low budget. I was pleasantly surprised by the way it looked though. I expected this to look pretty shocking, but it looked nice, and I'm looking forward to giving it a proper watch probably around Halloween time now, because I picked it up kind of just after Halloween. But yes, Dog Soldiers, very much looking forward to this. Sean Pertwee, who's the director, Neil Marshall, and I've heard nothing but good things about this. It's very much a cult classic, so looking forward to giving it a watch. Army of Darkness Collector's Edition 4K from Scream Factory. This is one of my most hyped releases of 2022, and I think it didn't disappoint. I know a lot of people had an issue with this because it only includes... So it's got 4 discs. It only includes the theatrical cut on 4K. The other cuts are all on Blu-ray. And I know a lot of people had an issue with that because people really love the director's cut and the international cut. Scream Factory only work with what they have, and in this case it's Universal, I think, did the restoration, and they only restored the theatrical cut. Elements for the other cuts just weren't available, or they couldn't source them, which is why only the theatrical is in 4K. But to be honest, I really think the theatrical is the best version, and I know a lot of people will disagree with me on that because the director's cut is, you know, it's got the other ending and everything. But the theatrical cut is so pacey, and it just whips along. It's like, theatrical cut is only an hour and 20, I think. It's so quick, and that adds to the breakneck energy of the film to me. So I'm okay with only the theatrical being put on 4K. It looks gorgeous. I did watch this as soon as I got it, and it looks absolutely stunning. The Blu-ray I had always looked pretty terrible. So I was really happy with this. The original poster art is gorgeous there on the slipcover. Shame that we don't have like a reversible cover with the other posters, but that's okay. Whoa! All the discs have just fallen out on me. Whoa! What is happening there? Okay, so the discs are back in the holders. So I really like the disc art on this. So we've got Army of Darkness Disc 1, the 4K theatrical cut. Disc 2, the Blu-ray of the theatrical cut. Disc 3, the Blu-ray of the director's cut. And Disc 4, the Blu-ray of the international cut and the TV cut. So yeah, I was tempted to pick up the Steelbook of this because it did look nice, but it was just the cost of getting it over here. It's a bloody nightmare as it is to get Scream Factory releases over in the UK, and so it was expensive enough to pick this up, much less the Steelbook. But never mind. I'm really happy with this. I just love the cover. I just really love the cover. It's slightly thicker than a normal 4K case. But yeah, no, it's really cool, and it's a lovely transfer of the film. It looks absolutely stunning. It really, really does. So really happy to have it. There are times where I think this is my favourite Evil Dead film. It's hands down one of the funniest films I've ever seen. I love it to bits, and it's so quotable. It's so good. I can put it on whenever I'm feeling down. It's just become almost a comfort film to me, and was really happy to have it to complete the Evil Dead trilogy. Finally on 4K, because I've had 1 and 2 for a while, and was just waiting for this to get a release, and it finally did, and I was really happy with it. So Army of Darkness on 4K. And then to properly complete the Evil Dead collection, this is the only one I haven't seen. We'll be watching it very soon though, because Evil Dead Rise is coming out, so I definitely want to watch it before that. We have the 2013 remake of the Evil Dead on 4K, again from Scream Factory, and this isn't such a stacked release. It's quite, it strikes me as a bit of a budget release, which is a shame, but you know, it's okay. It's a nice slipcover, again, very clean, very nice. And take the cover out underneath, and it's just a 1 disc. There's no Blu-ray with it, so it does strike me as one of Scream Factory's more basic releases. It's definitely, the fact that it's called the Collector's Edition seems a bit odd, but I'm still very happy to have it, and now I've got every Evil Dead film on 4K, which is very nice, and I'm looking forward to watching this. Really looking forward to watching this, because I've heard good things. I've heard it's kind of the film that Raimi and co set out to make when they made the original back in 1981, but if they had the money, this would have been the result. Which is cool. I'm intrigued. It does have 2 cuts of the film though, and I believe the one is quite rare. So we've got the original theatrical version and the unrated cut, which has a weird history. The unrated cut premiered on Channel 4 in the UK accidentally. Channel 4 accidentally aired the unrated version at midnight or something. It was very odd, and then it took ages for it to get to an official release. And eventually, now it's wound up on here, which is nice, and that's the version I'm going to be watching before Evil Dead Rise comes out. Because why not? Just get the most graphic, most extreme version. Yeah, looking forward to watching it. Pretty cool. Evil Dead 2013. The Howling, Joe Dante, horror, 1980. 1981, sorry. 1981. The Howling is a film I've wanted to watch for a while. It's very much talked about in the same breath as An American Werewolf in London, in that it was a werewolf film coming out around that time, and it was a bit of a rival to that film. I love Joe Dante's work from what I've seen. I've seen both the Gremlins films and The Burbs, which is fantastic. So I'm looking forward to watching this. This should be quite fun. This is a Studio Canal release, which is very cool. They always do good work over here. And yeah, it's cool. Again, it's a really clean slipcover. Really like that. So yeah, The Howling on 4K. And here we have a couple of Steelbooks. So we've got Scream on 4K, the original, 1996, and Scream 2 on 4K, both Steelbooks. Now, I picked up the 4K of Scream when it initially came out, the standard edition, and I was always kind of kicking myself that I never got the Steelbook, because I picked up the Steelbook of Scream 5, and I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a nice Scream collection of Steelbooks lined up? So when they announced Scream 2 was coming on 4K Steelbook, it was actually kind of hard to find the standard edition, so I was like, I guess I'm getting the Steelbooks of these films now, which is great, but it kind of sucks because I don't have the first one. And then, out of nowhere, because I thought I was going to have to pay through the nose to get a version of the first one or something, they announced they were doing a reprint run of the first one on Steelbook, which is very nice. And so now I have the first one on Steelbook as well, which is cool. It's not... I think the reason I didn't pick it up initially was because it's not the best design. Like, it's cool, but it's quite bland. It's very minimalist, but it's got some nice spot gloss there on the blade, and it's a matte finish otherwise. So I'm just happy to have it, just to have it on the shelf with the rest of them on Steelbook. And we've got the classic, if you like scary movies, on the back. And then Scream 2, I really like the design of this. This is very cool. I've actually made this the poster for Scream 2 on Letterboxd because I really like the artwork on there. It's very, very cool. Obviously the opening scene of the film. And then on the back, the quote is in green. I just think it's a bit more vibrant than the one from the first one. But they're very cool. Hopefully they do Scream 3 this year, because they've been upgrading these films to 4K, and I really hope they do 3. The original Blu-rays of the original trilogy are awful, so when they did the first one, I was over the moon. When they did the second one, I was so happy, because I didn't think they'd do the sequels. So I'm really hoping they do number 3. 4 might be a bit difficult, because the rights for that are kind of up in the air and with other people, which would kind of suck if they don't work out something with 4, because it would mean I'd have like all of the 4K Steelbooks lined up, and then 4 would just be a standard Blu-ray in a normal case, which that would suck, but hopefully they get around to doing them. But in the meantime, Scream 1 and Scream 2 on 4K Steelbook. This next one is a film that has become a recent favourite. I watched it for the first time 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to watch it again very soon because I cannot get enough of this character. It has become one of my favourite films of all time ever. It was an instant favourite for me. It is the adorable Marcel the Shell with shoes on. There he is there, the little guy, and I'll talk about him in the next video when we talk about my figures that I've picked up, because he is incredible. But Marcel the Shell with shoes on, so this is the 4K A24 exclusive edition, so I had to import this from the States. I think they are releasing a basic version of this in the UK at last, but so I was so excited to watch this, and then my local cinema didn't get it. The distribution on this has been very weak, but my friend from work saw it, and he wouldn't stop talking about it. He was so like over the moon in love with this film, so I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna bite the bullet. I watched the original short films, fell in love with them, so I knew I was gonna love the film. So I imported this set from A24, and I was not disappointed. This is a gorgeous collector's edition. It's a really lovely digipack, and it comes... I mean, the disc is incredible. So the disc, and it took me a while to clock this, if you line it up properly, it looks like Marcel has walked along the disc and is just sitting there looking at you. Oh, he's so fucking cute, man. Honestly, this film, like, I had to pause, like, so... It properly affected me. I had to pause the film because I was kind of crying so much. I was just like, I had to catch myself being like, no, come on, it's a shell. But it's got so much to say about existence and life and community and change, and it's all told through the prism of this little shell. And the story behind the film as well. So Jenny Slate and Dean Fleischer Camp started working on it when they were together. and then they separated, but they still kind of worked on the film and kept it going, and they kept the passion for Marcel going. Marcel, Marcel. It's not the first time I've done that. So the fact that they kind of worked through their issues through Marcel as a character is incredible, and it's just, so it comes with this lovely book, which just the imagery on this is fantastic. It's a wraparound, and it goes into pretty incredible detail. So it's got disc contents here, and then it goes into pretty fantastic detail about how the animators brought Marcel to life. If you don't know, it's a stop motion film. It's kind of stop motion. Marcel is a stop motion character composited into live action backgrounds, and it's incredible. And it's got the storyboards for the film here. It's got a wealth of behind the scenes photos, and the production on this film was pretty insane, pretty unique. The special features on this release are fantastic. And honestly, if I was an animator, like, this release would be worth getting, just in terms of the process of animation that they talk about in here. Like, they talk about do's and don'ts with stop motion in this little book and stuff, and it's quite stacked for something that comes as a pack-in with a 4K release. It's a pretty stacked book full of information, so I just love it. And like I said, it's become one of my very favourite films ever. I cannot wait to watch it again. It really is just the exact kind of film that I think everyone needs. It's just so lovely and wholesome, and it really is like one of the most wholesome things I've ever watched in my life. And it's gonna be one of those films. I can't get this. There we go. It's gonna be one of those films that I watch when I'm feeling down. It's just gonna be a comfort film for me, and just, it is an utter privilege to watch Marcel navigate this world, the real world around us, and his relationship with Dean, and God, all of it is just it's just an incredible bit of cinema, and I'm just so in love with it. And everyone loves Marcel. He's so good. Honestly, please watch this if you haven't, because I can't think of anyone who wouldn't enjoy this. It's fantastic. Here's a rather nice release from Arrow Video that's going to lead us into the Blu-ray section. But this is the 4K release of Battle Royale. They did a big box set of this, but I missed out on that. I didn't get it. I've never seen the film before. But this was on sale, and I thought, okay, blind buy, cool. I expected it to come in a standard 4K case, but actually it's got this very cool slipcover. And I've had many Arrow releases in the past, and I've never seen one like this, and this is very, very cool. Very nice artwork, and then I've changed it to the original poster art underneath. But this is cool. I think I've never seen a slipcover like that before. That kind of goes. It's like a hard box, but it's got this bow at the bottom, which is really cool. I really like it. And this has got 2 versions of the film on 4K and a lovely booklet. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. Looking forward to watching it again, probably around Halloween time. But I've heard nothing but good things about this film. It's very influential, so I'm looking forward to finally checking this one off the list. Here's another one of my most anticipated releases of last year, when I knew it was happening, when I found out that they were doing this. I could not be more excited. This is one of my favourite things ever. Not films, TV, anything. I adore this thing to bits. It's so inspirational. It's fucking terrifying. It's one of the few films that really gets under my skin. It is the 1992 BBC masterpiece that caused a shockwave through the nation. It is, of course, Ghostwatch. The beautiful box set release on Blu-ray by 101 Films. I did not think that this would ever happen. So for years I was watching Ghostwatch on the 101 Films DVD release, which was bare bones. It was just the film on it, nothing else, no extras or anything. And for a film as fascinating as this, and the production behind it and the aftermath of it, you want those extras. You want the details about what happened with this, you know. So when they announced they were doing it, a big special box set edition on Blu-ray, no less, you know, for something that's very obscure, I was just over the moon, and it is a fantastic, gorgeous release. So I've flipped the poster art around, so you get the original poster there. And it's I mean, the film looks as good as it ever is going to. It's of course upscaled. It was shot in standard definition, but it looks pretty good, and it looks pretty much as good as it is ever going to. But really, the real highlight for me is the extras on this. Look at that gorgeous booklet. That image is terrifying. So this has just got essays by all sorts of people who are involved. Brilliant pictures of it. It includes the short story that Stephen Volk wrote years later, 3110, which is a sequel to Ghostwatch. It includes, there we go, 3110 by Stephen Volk, wrote in 2002 for the 10th anniversary. It is a sequel to Ghostwatch, so if you get a chance, please read this because it's awesome. It's so cool. You also get a few nice art cards, and arguably best of all with this edition, a full annotated copy of the original script, which, if you're a fan of Ghostwatch like I am, this is like gold dust. It's got Leslie Manning's original director notes here. It's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating to read, and it's just like, to be granted this level of kind of in-depth insight into the production of this thing is incredible, considering that like the BBC had tried to ban it for years or pretend it never happened. It was a stain on the BBC for so long because of all the controversy that it caused. But to see it given a release like this, which is packed with special features, new and old, it brings everything together, and those physical extras as well, just over the moon with it. It's such an incredible release, and if you've never seen Ghostwatch, please treat yourself. It is one of the very best horror films I have ever seen, in terms of just being authentic and real and genuinely terrifying. You will not get better than this. I know some people do watch it and they just go, "What was that? That was silly. That was not terrifying at all." But what you put yourself in the heads of the British public at the time in 1992, and just the fear that all this might be real. It is an incredible production. I'm fascinated by the lore of it, the fictional lore of it, and also the just production behind it. I find it so inspirational. It's so committed to the aesthetic that it's trying to build, and it is one of my very favourite things ever. And to see it given this much love is incredible. So the Ghostwatch 30th anniversary box set from 101 Films. Do you like 6-hour-long documentaries about horror franchises? Then boy, do I have the things for you. Yes, so we have Crystal Lake Memories, the complete history of Friday the 13th, and Never Sleep Again, the Elm Street Legacy. 2 documentaries brought to us from the same team. The Friday the 13th one, I'm in the middle of watching it now. It is 400 minutes long. It is fucking huge in it. No stone is left unturned. For a franchise that I'm not particularly keen on, it is fascinating, and it's incredible viewing. It's split over 2 discs, obviously, because it's huge. And I've wanted to watch it for years. And my favourite of the 2, because it's the franchise that I prefer, Never Sleep Again. I watched this on YouTube. Absolutely loved it. The 4 hours flew by. It's slightly shorter than the Friday the 13th one because it's just a shorter franchise. But again, no stone is left unturned. There is a UK release now in the same style as this, and I'm kind of kicking myself that I jumped the gun and imported the German release, because I could have had these 2 all matching in the same kind of edition. But I'm not sad too much, because this is numbered. This is limited edition 500. Mine is 487, and it is a metal pack, and it's really gorgeous. That artwork is incredible. It's so shiny, and don't fall asleep. And it's a wraparound, which is very, very cool. And this is interesting. So you get the main dock itself on 1 disc. I'd be interested to see if the UK version splits it across 2 discs like the Friday the 13th set has. But it looks good. It's fine. It doesn't look super compressed or anything. It's all there, uncut. And then you get Never Sleep Again 2, I Am Nancy. Now, I Am Nancy is a separate documentary unrelated to Never Sleep Again, but I guess for this release they've just packaged them together and called it Never Sleep Again 2, which is a bit disingenuous, but also it is pretty nice to get the just another kind of, it's essentially like a big bonus feature. Just get an extra level of content from this release, which probably doesn't come with the UK version. I mean, it might do, let me know. There's quite cool artwork on the back as well, on the inside, sorry. So yeah, over the moon. These docs are you know, this one definitely is one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. Certainly the best documentary I've ever seen about a film series. It just covers everything. I mean, it's 4 hours long, for God's sake. And if you're a Nightmare on Elm Street fan, you owe it to yourself to watch it, because it is unmatched. You will not find anything like this anywhere. A little bit of... I'm like 2 films deep into the Friday the 13th one, which is only about 40 minutes, I think. But so far, it's just as good. And for a franchise that I'm not as keen on, as I say, it's nonetheless so fascinating. And again, if you're a fan of this franchise, you owe it to yourself to buy this. Yeah, these docs are fantastic. Wah 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 wah. Gotham, the complete series on Blu-ray. I had kind of been umming and ahhing on whether to get this set for a long time. Gotham was a show that I watched as it aired and enjoyed, and at some points really enjoyed. At other points, shook my head at. It was a very mixed show. When it was good, it was really good, and when it was bad, it was pretty awful. But overall, I enjoyed it a lot, and I'd always wanted to kind of watch it again one day, and it kind of pops up every now and again on streaming. Netflix had it for a bit, and then they didn't, and it pops in and out of circulation. And then the Blu-ray set went on sale, and it's quite comprehensive, and it comes in this lovely hard box, and it's got everything, all 5 seasons. So I thought, yeah, fuck it, why not? Because I will watch it again one day, and just to have it in a physical state is nice. And I know a lot of people weren't a fan of this packaging, but I quite like it. So it's kind of cardboard sleeves for each season, and it kind of opens up like that. And okay, the discs aren't exactly... Storing them this way isn't the safest thing for them, but they are Blu-rays and they are mostly scratch-proof, so I'm not too worried. You get a big episode guide on the backs of these, so I'm not like hugely worried about the safety of these discs. I think they'll be fine, and like I said, it comes in a very nice hard sturdy box. It's not just like a lot of TV show releases these days where it's a flimsy box and all of just the individual releases or individual keep cases just shoved in a box. It does feel like they put effort into it, and I mean the artwork for each season is pretty nice. You know, I won't go through them all, but yeah, it's an interesting show. It definitely evolved quite nicely as it went along. It did run into the age-old problem where it's like it's a Batman prequel, but they start introducing all of the Batman villains, and it's just a bit like, well, part of the interesting thing about Batman is that he makes his villains, and it's a bit like I don't know how I feel about them introducing them all when Bruce Wayne is still a kid, but it's cool, it's fun, it's a different take on the mythos, and like I say, when it's good, when it's really good. I remember that period at the start of season 2 when it's like Jerome taking over the GCPD. I remember being on the edge of my seat for that. So it's cool. It's very stylized. It's a good show, and I'm glad to have it in physical form so that I can rewatch it uninterrupted and unencumbered by streaming. I think some of the episodes are a bit longer as well, like extended versions, which is always quite nice. So yeah, Gotham, the complete series. Austin Powers, the complete collection. This is cool. So I've wanted to get the Austin Powers films on Blu-ray for a while. I've only ever seen the first one, so I will watch the sequels at some point soon. When HMV announced they were doing this exclusive set with nice hard box and art cards and kind of pack-in goodies and a booklet, quite a big chunky booklet as well, I was really happy, and I was like, perfect, this is my perfect chance, because it wasn't too expensive. It was only about 25 quid, I think, and it's got all kinds of goodies in here, which is it's got a poster and all sorts really. So it's cool. It's nice. These films, like I said, I've only seen the first one. It's very dated. It's very of its time, but they're funny. They're funny for a quick laugh, and I'm happy to own a physical copy of all of them just in one place. It's quite nice, and it's quite nice artwork too, quite stylized. Yeah, it's cool. Terrifier, the bloody duo. Yeah, Terrifier 2 was massive last year, wasn't it? It took the horror world by storm, and even mainstream audiences seem to gravitate to it. It was obviously very controversial. I've never seen any of the Terrifier films, and again, it was always like it's difficult to find in the UK. So when Terrifier 2 came out and it was a big success, a UK distributor picked both films up and put them in this nice compact collection. And I'm looking forward to watching them at Halloween. These are my art decline is fucking terrifying. I've seen clips of it, and it's very much like I don't know if I'll love them, but I'm looking forward to watching them because Art the Klein is now a new horror icon, and to be a part of that as it's happening kind of thing is something that I really want to do, because if Art the Klein goes down as a horror icon like Michael or Jason or Leatherface, I kind of want to be there at the peak of his popularity. And I know that sounds very shallow, but Freddy and Michael and Jason, their peak was probably 70s, 80s in particular, right? And that was way before I was born. So to be at the kind of start of a new horror icon is something that is kind of exciting. And so yeah, that's cool. And both just nice compact release. Terrifier, the bloody duo. This is a BFI release of When the Wind Blows, a film that I've wanted to watch for ages. Raymond Briggs, who sadly passed away last year, wrote it. Jimmy T. Murakami directed it. I've heard that this is absolutely devastating. I've heard that it is just such an impactful film. I've seen clips of it and I watched the trailer. I was like, right, I'm getting that because it was on sale. And it looks like a very nice release as well. Reversible cover and a big booklet with essays, which is very nice. Blu-ray and DVD copy. Yeah, looking forward to giving this a watch, but I think it'll definitely be a thing where it's like when I'm in the right mood for it. There's a bit of cellophane still on it. When I'm in the right mood for it, because yeah, I've heard it's quite devastating. But yeah, I'm looking forward to sitting down and watching it. Phantasm, the complete collection from Arrow Video. Really lovely box set. Really love the artwork on this. It's on sale. It was dirt cheap. Never seen the Phantasm films. It was a blind buy, but Phantasm is kind of iconic in the world of horror. Certainly the main kind of the balls are the spheres, you know. This has got all 5 of them in one neat little box. All Arrow Video releases. All look pretty gorgeous and pretty nice and collectible. And yeah, and it stands out on the shelf because it's so it's bright red. So I'm really looking forward to giving this a watch. And yeah, it should be fun. And finally for Blu-rays, Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horrors. The classic 1922 film that features this guy, Nosferatu, and it's another BFI release. I remember for years I only knew Nosferatu was that one joke from SpongeBob, where it's the hash slinging slasher, which is still one of my favourite episodes of that show. It's so funny, and just that random Nosferatu joke at the end. But yeah, so this is obviously an iconic bit of cinema, and it's one that I owe it to myself to watch. I think I really want to watch it because it's like I say, it's iconic. It's absolutely iconic, and the Nosferatu kind of image has become a big staple of pop culture. So yeah, looking forward to finally sitting down and watching this. Now onto video games. I picked myself up a Nintendo Switch. Specifically a Switch OLED, which I'd wanted to do for a while. I'd wanted to get my hands on a Switch for a little bit, but I can never quite justify it. And then I was at a party and they had a Switch set up, and I was like, fuck it. It was just after Christmas and things were on sale. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to get a Switch. And I did, and I've been really enjoying it. So I picked up Super Mario Odyssey digitally, and that became my addiction for a few weeks. That was an incredible game. And then, because I wanted more Mario on the Switch, I went on eBay and hunted down a copy of Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which was a rare limited edition run that they did. And it features Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy, which I already have on the Wii, but the other two are new to me. I've never played Mario 64. I know it's massive, but never played it. I played the DS remake as a kid, but never the original, and never played Sunshine either. So it's cool to have them all in one box set. All in one case, I guess. And yeah, I've been really enjoying the Switch. It's just the handheld aspect which has really appealed to me, and that's really what I got it for, really, the travelling aspect of it. So yeah, I'm really enjoying the Switch. So I was really excited for this game, and then it came out and got terrible reviews, so I picked it up when it went on sale, and I really enjoyed it. Saints Row 5, or well, Saints Row 22. It's just called Saints Row. It's just done that annoying reboot thing, but yes, this is the Saints Row reboot. I'm a big fan of Saints Row, specifically 3 and 4. I'm one of those fans. So within the Saints Row community, there are people who love and swear by Saints Row and Saints Row 2, and hates the direction they took it in with 3 and 4. And then there's the opposite. There's people like me who absolutely love 3 and 4 and get out of hell. And I sort of find the first two a little bit basic, and they're like GTA clones, really. And they're good, I just much preferred it when it went into the wackier stuff in Saints Row 3 and 4. I'm a big fan of like the characters and the team that got built up by the end of 4, with like Sean D and Johnny Gat and Kinsey, and Keith David and all of that. So I was disappointed when they announced that they were completely rebooting, going for a more grounded take, but also trying to be a bit silly at the same time. And the biggest problem with this is it has got an identity crisis. It has got a very big identity crisis. I just noticed this is the Day 1 edition. I picked this up on sale, so it shouldn't be the Day 1 edition because it was quite a while after I got it. But alright, fair enough. But yeah, the biggest problem with this is it's just got an identity crisis because it's trying to appeal to both camps. It's trying to appeal to the people who love 3 and 4 with the wacky sense of humour, and also the groundedness of 1 and 2, and it just doesn't quite get there. But to be honest, I thought this was going to be awful, and it turned out to be pretty good. I enjoyed this a lot. I had a really good fun time with it, and I really warmed up to the new characters in a way I didn't expect to. Like, I liked this team, and people hate them on the internet. Like, really, like, this new group of characters that this reboot introduces are hated on the internet, and I don't really know why. I really liked them, and it was kind of... It's just a fun game. It's just good fun, and I really enjoyed my time with it, to be honest, and I did not expect to. So this was a nice surprise. So, yeah, it's definitely the worst... Well, is it the worst of them? I don't know. It's definitely towards the weaker end of the series, but it's definitely not as bad as people said it was. And lastly, The Quarry on PS5. This is the spiritual successor to Until Dawn, a game that I only just played the other week. Picked it up digitally on PlayStation, and I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it, and it was massive. Like, when it came out, I remember it coming out, and it was just huge. It was the biggest game ever, and yeah, and I'd always want to play it, but it always scared me too much. But now I'm like super into horror. I played it, I loved it, and I really want to pick up The Quarry because the cast is insane. David Arquette, Ted Raimi, Ariel Winter, Brenda Song, Justice Smith. It's these great actors in this, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm not that far into it. I'm about an hour or two in. But I'm really enjoying it so far. I just love choice games. I just love choice games, and when it's like this and Until Dawn, when it like the choices have a lot of weight, it's cool. It's cool, and I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, The Quarry, PS5. So that's everything for DVD and Blu-rays. That was part 2 of the collection update series. Stay tuned next time for part 3, where it'll be a much shorter video, I think, where we'll be going through figures and collectibles I picked up. It was my 21st birthday last year, so I picked up quite a bit as treats to myself. So there's a lot to go through, but hopefully I think it will be quicker than this. This is definitely the biggest section of the series. But I really hope you enjoyed. What are your thoughts on the stuff I've picked up? Physical media wise, I guess. I know we covered vinyl last time, but this is, you know, Blu-rays, 4Ks and games. Yeah, what are your thoughts? Have you seen any of this stuff? Ghostwatch, Marcel the Shell, Never Sleep Again, or, you know, Phantasm, Dune, Bullet Train, whatever. What are your thoughts on the stuff I picked up this time? Let me know, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in my next one. Take care now.